38 March review. I don't even think that. I see Bellerin still doing the same thing. Bro, sometimes it's not complicated. Bellerin's just not doing the job. Like, he's just not it, man. Maybe it's because I'm a right back, so I'm more onto him and stuff like that naturally. But nah, man, I'm not buying that. With all due respect, not saying you're trying to sell me something, but I'm just not buying that, bro. I can't buy that, fam. Like, sometimes man are just playing dead because they're playing dead. Away from that, though, please make sure you're hitting that like button. Big up the Twitch gang as well. I see you lot locked in. You're never forgotten about. Big up K, big up Hamsick and all the man them there. But yeah, people, now let's get into this real quick. As I was saying, people, now March review in relation to this thing now. Sorry, as you can see, this was all done very quickly. Now, my opinions on March, I feel a bit indifferent by Arsenal, and we're not 10th, we're 9th now. I think everybody can admit that we're still in the. I don't think we've learned anything about our club. We still have the same old problems. We did end it with a fight back against Leicester. Maybe that was a precursor of the month, because I'd say current themes again have been conceding cheap goals, not playing well for the whole 90, man management and game management needing to be questioned, players switching off, players not approaching games in the right way, or if they approach it in the right way, they're not ending it in the right way. Ultimately, I'd say a lot of our problems come from we're not doing the job for 90 minutes. Obviously we drew against Burnley, and again struggling to hold on to leads. We scored in the 6th minute and then let them score 6 minutes before half time. Obviously it was a calamitous error, but this tells you our problems. And amongst other things, we made it harder than it needed to be. We didn't set up in the right way. We didn't prepare ourselves mentally. And again, we don't shoot enough. We had 3 shots on target. And again, an individual error in Xhaka, not to scapegoat, made the difference. So again, I'm not scapegoating players. This is just a themes that I have been seeing. Obviously, we beat Spurs 2-1. Fair play. It's a big game, man to a man. Everybody stood up. Odegaard, Lacazette, every Smith Rowe, every Bear man plays well in it. Bear man played well. They did well. We can't say anything more beyond that. I think it was a good performance. But again, if I'm scrutinizing it again, the same problems were there. We made a fast start and then we almost messed it up towards the end. We had to go a goal behind, so we didn't. Possession is still not correlating to taking the lead and killing off games when we can. We still had to come from behind, and we had to. The Odegaard goal was good, but we had to rely on a penalty. Fair enough, you need to play the ball into those areas to get a penalty, but I don't think we're asking questions enough of keepers. And every week I'm saying we're not shooting enough. We're not shooting enough. I do think when you look at the way the way we was pressing Spurs, I think the game plan made us get that penalty, because we're pressing them. Loris, has tried to go long. Obviously, Pepe has played a pass to Lacazette. Obviously, the way we went going forward led to 2 on goals by West Ham, but I just feel we've got a lot more to offer in an attacking sense. I don't feel, based on what I've seen this month, we're playing to our full potential offensively. Defensively, obviously we're not. There's 12 games, no clean sheet. It's not sustainable. We're in all comps. It's not sustainable. And we did, only Arsenal would look more shaky playing against 10 men against Spurs, but North London derby is what it is. In terms of the league, we're undefeated in the league for March, so that's a positive, I guess. And we're up to 9th, and a couple players are starting to come into form. We can never have everybody playing in form. When certain players rise in form, other man's form dips. So way the world, isn't it? Yin and yang and all that sort of stuff. But again, so yeah, we beat Spurs. We did what we needed to do. No clean sheet, cheap goal conceded, not playing well for the whole 90. The same can be said for Burnley. Also, obviously, we just saw fresh after the West Ham game, terrible first 20 minutes. It's like we do not prepare well enough. And I don't think that's on Arteta. I think he gives them every damn bit of information. I just think once these players cross the white chalk, I don't think it's like these lot have watched West Ham play. It's like they're not keeping up to date with what's going on. Like, if you're a rapper, or if you're a good rapper, surely you understand, or you're looking at what other rappers in the industry are doing, what they're not doing, what sort of deals they're doing, what their management is doing, whatever. And that goes for every industry. And I have to say that about football. If I'm a footballer for Arsenal or playing West Ham, because I love Arsenal or love the professional women, I'm looking at the Premier League and seeing West Ham play fifth. They're good at set pieces. They're good in the air. They make late runs. They can score goals. They can put moves together. All the things you would have said about West Ham going into that game, we were highlighted about it in the game. So it's almost like we're told how much of a fire there is. We put our hands in the fire and we're complaining that we're burnt. Yes, there is a bit of fight to get back in the game. You know, we've come from behind in our last 2 games. And to be fair to you, to be undefeated against Spurs and West Ham, it is what it is, people. There is a positive in that. But it's a case of where we're saying if, but, and the other, you know, if the Spurs, if we never got the pen, or if this happened, if Kane scored, if this happened against West Ham, we're focusing on too many fine margins as fans, as a football club, and even as a manager. And for me, if we're focused, for me, we can talk about fine margins, innit? But if you're focusing on fine margins, an incident that's happened in a minute or a 30-second incident over a 90-minute game, for me, yeah, you can focus on that. You can attribute it. You can think about it. But surely that means there's something you didn't do across the other duration of the game. And I think fans, we focus on that too much. Like certain fans will look at the first 20 against West Ham and say, excluding the first 20, we could have done this. I'm sorry, but you can't exclude it. You have to consider it all. You can't be on this positive Larry stuff. You can't be on this negative Paddy stuff. You've got to be, you know, Balance Bennett. That's the only name I could think of. I don't know why Bennett was there, but it is what it is. So yeah, I like the fact that there's a little bit of fight back, but it is what it is, people. And I think as well, like I said, once again, the players, Arteta has a lot of criticisms. I think he's rotated unnecessarily, but more often than not, I've been angry with these players because I think he's given them every bit of water and these lot refuse to drink it. The water being the information. So mixed success, you know, at the end of the day, you know what, 2 draws and a win, undefeated, if you want to look at it like that. I do think there's an element of complacency in the same way complacency swept in when we beat Brighton, Chelsea and West Bromwich Albion. Bro, balance Bennett, fam. I was gonna say Barney. I thought that name sounds dead. Big Selt, man. Love to Big Selt, man. Check out his YouTube channel as well. He's doing his thing. You need to come on here one day when there's time to do that. But yeah, obviously we can't not talk about the month without speaking about Europa League. End of the day, we got through. For me, I selected this Europa League. It indirectly ties into all the games we played this month in that cheap goals, making it harder than it needs to be, a lot of inconsistencies, everything we say every week. Basically, we did the job in it. So to be undefeated in the league, to get through against Olympiacos, what more could I ask? It could have been better. It could have been a lot worse. Against Olympiacos, when we lost, again, that same theme and attitude carried on into the game against West Ham. And players need to understand, regardless of if players are being rotated and whatnot, how we act paints an individual bit of a puzzle for the whole collective. Because we've made both of these games harder than it needs to be, we started seeing injuries, we started seeing unnecessary rotation. Players didn't get a day off, and for the players, they need to understand, if we kill off games better, you know, if we kill off games, people can get rested and all of these sort of things. We can save legs and whatnot. So I think game management, yeah, Arteta takes a bit long with the subs and whatnot, but game management, these players, they're not starting games well. They're not going into halftime, not conceding. They're not closing out games well. You know, a couple man are, couple man aren't. You know, sometimes it's David Luiz, sometimes it's not. I don't think the players have managed this period as well. I think the manager's kind of messed up at times with his substitutions. I think sometimes I think another criticism, again, I like that you retain faith with Aubameyang, but I don't think he's deserved to play ahead of Pepe or Willian. And I think we're at that period now where you don't need to reinvent the wheel. You play your better players, simple as that. I do think while there has been rotation, I think there's inconsistencies when I see certain men start. And it's like the players do not know when they can save their legs. And that's for them in Europa. But if you kill off the first leg, you give yourself a handbrake. And I don't really see it. So, yeah, it could have been better. It could have been worse. I personally, this is me speaking for myself, people. I think personally that we've improved defensively, but I think it's overstated improvements defensively. I think we're underperforming in terms of attack, regardless, people, regardless, because when you look at it, my maths might be poor and I might look like an idiot. But again, in terms of the goals in the league, we've scored 5 in the league. We've scored 9 in all comps this month, conceded 5 in the league. Again, at one point we had 11 wins, 11 losses in the league. We've conceded 5, we've scored 5. So what are we? Are we just like that? We're not a good attacking team? We're not the best scorers? I don't know. In all comps, we conceded 7. So we've got a plus of 4, a plus of 2. Now, I don't know if you want to insert some own goal taxes and stuff like that, but this ain't sustainable, is it? Surely, people, this ain't sustainable. You know, I think positives have been for me, you know, I also as well, I think on that as well, I think the fact that Odegaard's come into form and been here 2 secs, Smith Rowe once again has only been in the first team like this on this level for a couple of secs, and Williams just found form. I think when you look at attacking goal involvements and things, I think that the fact that these three in particular score quite high, it's not a criticism. I think it tells you that the nucleus of this squad, the squad that started it in August, are underperforming, you know, quite poor, but it is what it is, man. Like I said, for large parts of the season, man are underperforming. For me, I think there's overstated improvements in defense. We're still underperforming in attack. I do think there's more heart, determination, and a bit more drive. Clearly, you know, I've seen my team lose 3-0, be losing 3-0, and then end up go lose 5. You drawed it back at the weekend, but these are just some isolated incidences. And, you know, we have been better against the top teams as well this season generally, but we're not winning enough battles, so we can't win the war, people. You know, we face the prospect of sitting here in May and say, oh yeah, but we beat United away from home, we beat Chelsea at their place, we done this and done that. It's not enough. And what I hope is that these players, they done exactly what we've done. We've talked about this season. They go back, they forgive themselves, and they think about what's happened this month and prepare for next month. Because next month, when you lot come back from international duty, you've got Liverpool, underperforming or not. Liverpool beat you in the last game. Liverpool are still a big team. You've still got to go in no order. You've got to go Chelsea. You've got to play Brighton. You know, you've got some difficult teams and some difficult games, and only you lot will decide this for yourselves, people. Rotation has been needed, but it feels like Arteta, for me, doesn't pick the moments wise enough and has shown his inexperience. I don't think we're producing enough clear-cut chances or scoring enough. You know, again, we needed a pen. We needed to go behind, actually, as well. We needed a pen against Spurs. 2 of these goals were own goals against West Ham. Once again, to get that penalty and to get those own goals, we had to do something going forward. So I give us that. But these are just fine margins. And for me, we're not shooting enough. And when we are shooting, 9 times out of 10, we get into double figures for shooting. And hardly any are hitting the target. In terms of positives, you know, there's been a couple other positives, but I think, you know, there's been a bit of good spirit. You know, there is spirit in the team now. It's not enough, but there is spirit. You know, we're technically undefeated in the league, and ultimately the Europa League dream is still alive. So they are positives. I feel Lacazette's really played well, and a couple other man, but these are the ones I wanted to set a push. You know, Partey settling a couple of times. He's got 90 minutes under his belt now. Odegaard's taking up his game to another level and showed us not just little dribs and drabs. He's a difference maker. It is what it is. In terms of negatives, I think sadly, the same old issues that have been remaining all season are still here, people. We're still relying on the same old players. And if not, fair enough, you know, I always said when couple players get in form, other people are lost. You know, Aubameyang's form's gone. Odegaard stepped up. Do you get it? So we're still relying on the same old couple of names. And even with Tierney and Saka, they didn't have the best of games against West Ham. The fact that our form is correlated between these a handful of players, and if we're going to play well or not, it's unhealthy because there's 38 games. You can't expect the same 7 to be at it. There's no way around it. I do think there's been an improvement defensively, but I think it's overstated. There's no clean sheet in 12 games. Obviously, we didn't play 12 in March, but again, that tells you previous months we've carried on that theme. Simple as that. I don't know why I put that in green. That's not nice. Why would I want that to be a plus point? Last 2 games have not been good enough for me in general, people. We've done what we've needed to do, but it's not been good enough. You know, I keep hearing these players say we need to do this, we need to do that. Like even Leno, he said based on the Olympiacos game, we're not going to improve. We're not going to do anything if we play like that. And I've seen him play shit as well, like everybody else. You know, I don't think these players prepare themselves well enough mentally for games. I honestly think Arteta does all he can in that regards. And this is why, as much as I have criticisms for Arteta, and I'm not saying he needs to forever be Arsenal manager, it's easier to get rid of players, but I've got more time for the manager and his mistakes than these players. We've not been following runners like you saw for Lingard and Souček, something that's been persistent all season. Sometimes I feel Arteta's been persistent with players not doing the business. Like, yeah, you dropped Lacazette against Spurs, Aubameyang against Spurs. I think you should have dropped him for the last game. I don't think he hasn't been starting Pepe when he's needed to. So yeah, it's a bit of 6s and 7s from the gaffer. My concerns, ultimately, for me, talking off the field versus the talking on the field has not been consistent, people. Unpopular opinions. I think Leno's been a bit dodgy this season. I think Aubameyang will be back in terms of goal scoring, but again, if he's not back, clip man, get rid of man. do something else, play someone else. I still think Gabriel's our best centre-half, and I do think, unfortunately, fans overrate Pablo Mari. And that, for the record, that does not mean I don't think Pablo Mari is in a good centre-half. That does not mean I don't think he can be used. It's just man are looking at him as the Messiah, unfortunately, and fans do that with all of these players. And whatnot. And for me, a positive would be as well, it feels like there's something building here, but it's not quite enough. And that one pro isn't being outweighed by the cons. It does feel like there's something building. I don't know what. I might be playing up to my name. It just feels like something's happening. I don't know what. A part of me, not that I always want to wait for next season, like most fans say, but a part of me just feels if you get some of these dead players out, Arteta might be able to do a little thing. I don't know. Something just tells me there's something there. Maybe that's the heart speaking. And I feel I'm more angry at these players than I am at Arteta this month, because Arteta, I can blame the manager, but I just feel a lot of these players have just been doing stupidness this month. I don't blame Arteta. There are some things, like I said, the subs, but drawing against West Ham, the Olympiacos game, I don't blame him. I really don't blame him. I blame these players. I can only blame him for taking long with the subs, in my opinion. And some of my ending thoughts would be, people, as well. Preparation is key. These players need to start preparing themselves. I'm very disappointed how I saw us turning our backs. I still think 90 minutes is football's a 90-minute game, and I think too often than not, there's too many handful of positives. And there's too many negatives. There's too many positives and negatives of every 90-minute game we're playing. We're not managing it well. I think this is meant to be from my West Ham video, so ignore that. But it is what it is, people. It is what it is. It is what it is, firmly, in that regard. So with that, that ends the March review.